Welcome to the Dive Heart First podcast, where we explore the connection between the head and the heart and where science meets spirituality. I'm your host, Jenn Walker, and today we are accessing your highest brain functions. Now, you might be thinking for a Dive Heart First podcast that this woman sure talks a lot about the brain, and I do. And please don't let me mislead or confuse you. So our culture has collectively agreed upon this concept that our brain only resides in our head. And although there are a lot of neurons in our brain, there are also neurons throughout our body. So in our brain, we have 86 billion neurons, and in our gut, we have 100 million neurons called the enteric nervous system. So that is why the gut is a lot of times referred to as the second brain. Then in our heart, we have 40,000 neurons and up to 1 billion neurons in the rest of the body through the peripheral nervous system. So the nerves that run to the skin, the muscles, and organs. So, as I talk about the brain in this podcast, you know that I'm talking about the whole brain, and the brain is actually in our body. And the cool thing that we have discovered is that our heart is actually the central conductor of the entire brain. So, meaning essentially, when we get into something called heart coherence, which is a state of a balanced heart, the brain waves of the brain and the gut and the body and the heart synchronize in a way that allows us to access our highest brain functions. So that is what we are going to do today. And before we do that, I thought it might be fun to share a story with you of where Dive Heart First, the name, came from. So 9 years ago, when I started my business, I would have loved to keep it simple and just name my business my name, Jenn Walker. And yet my name is pretty generic. And you try to find a URL that is anything, jennwalker.net, .org, .co. It's just non-existent and it's all tracked out and taken. So I remember this one day that I was talking to a friend of mine who does copywriting and branding. And she was asking me about my business and what I do and who I work with and who is my ideal client that I love working with. And I remember describing all that. And I remember what blurted out of my mouth. And I was just talking. I'm like, I just love working with people that dive heart first into things. So dive heart first into their life, into their relationships, into courageous conversations, into business, and do the hard things, live in their aliveness, live in their alignment. And as I said it and it came out of my mouth, I was like, oh, I like that. And my friend was like, ooh, I like that. And it was her that suggested, and she's like, why don't you make Dive Heart First your business name? And at the time, I had no other options. I had no other ideas. So I did, figuring that if anything else came through that was a better fit for me and what I was doing, then I could always just change the name. And what was really interesting with that is it was such a happy accident because over the next, 9 years, I have really grown into that name. So a few years back, I really got into the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza. So Dr. Joe studies the science of radical remission and how people heal themselves through chronic disease and terminal illness. And I have had the great fortune to go to a couple of Dr. Joe's events, which I might speak about in different podcast episodes to come. But it was Dr. Joe that really exposed me to Heart Math Institute. Institute. So at Dr. Joe events, what I love about them is there's a back room. So they've had all these fantastic stories of radical remissions, tumor sizes decreasing, Parkinson's reversing, eliminating anxiety, depression within a week, So it's really interesting. And that's really great and anecdotal, but what is happening behind the scenes, like what is happening within the brain and the body in order to allow that radical remission to happen? And so now there's a whole research group that comes in and studies what is happening. So Dr. Joe talks a lot about HeartMath Institute and how he's teamed up with them for different things with their heart rate variability monitors and things like that. So that sent me down a path of research and reading with HeartMath. And I will put their link below. They're a fantastic organization that really gets into the research of the intelligence of the heart and what is possible there. They also have a really neat heart rate variability biofeedback monitor and meditation app that I have and that I enjoy. So I will put it all down there. But that is what led me to understanding the heart on a whole another level. And I do a lot of heart coherence within the work that I do within my mindset work and my clients. So it's just fascinating. And what I have learned with Math Institute is the intelligence of the heart. So there are signals going from your head to your heart and also from your heart to your head. And there's more signals going from your heart to your head and also from your heart to the rest of your body. So this is our main central intelligence, and it's like a conductor of an orchestra. And when we are in heart coherence, it synchronizes our entire nervous system, releasing regenerative hormones, upregulating and downregulating specific genes that support you and your health and your well-being through epigenetics. And when we're in heart coherence, we access our highest brain functions. So things like attention and intention and planning, focus and big picture thinking, creativity, compassion, empathy, humor, playfulness, reaction time, coordination, intellect, intuition. So all the things that we're interested in having online is accessed through heart coherence and the heart. And so that is what we are going to do today. And for a moment, can you imagine all the leaders of companies and countries being in their highest brain functions? We would live in a completely different world. And although I think top-down leadership is cool and has real strength, I know that the power really comes from bottom-up leadership. And that's the leadership of the collective. That's where instant and fast and sustainable change actually occurs. And that happens in the individual. And as we choose to be in heart coherence and access our highest brain function, that provides a ripple effect on all the people that we love the most, our communities, our friends, our families, our colleagues, our clients, our coworkers. So that is what we are going to do today. So let's just get right into it. So if you're able to, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, take a nice deep breath in and a long exhale out. As you start to notice the contact points of your body with the earth. It could be maybe your sit bones on the chair, or maybe your feet on the ground. And as you notice that you are held supported, safe. Start to scan your body from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, and from the tips of your toes to the top of your head, letting and allowing all your muscles and joints to release, relax, soften, and open. Open to your intelligence as you start to focus and perhaps putting a hand on your heart center, your chest and your heart, as you start to breathe slower and deeper into your heart in the most enjoyable rhythm. As you notice the energy moving from your head to your heart, as you start to feel the feeling, frequency, rhythm of your heart center, allowing the feeling or sensation of kindness, caring, compassion, love, gratitude, and appreciation to fill the space of your heart center. And as you feel those feelings in your heart center, allow that feeling and frequency to radiate and expand, renewing, refreshing, and re-energizing every single cell in your entire body. You are a divine creator. You are connected to this universal, loving intelligence that is always there to support you, your health, and your well-being. Now, allowing that feeling or frequency to radiate and expand beyond the borders of your body now, filling the entire space that you are in. Allowing it to expand and radiate even further to filling the entire city or town, country. And now allow that feeling or frequency to radiate and expand, wrapping around and touching the entire world. Allowing that feeling or frequency to radiate and expand both inward and outward to the entire universe. As you do this, you have synchronized your nervous system. You have released regenerative hormones. You have upregulated and downregulated specific genes that support you, your health, and your well-being. And you have accessed your highest brain functions. Now, taking your own sweet time, when you're ready, pressing open your eyes. And that is what's called getting high on your own supply. So you are in your highest brain functions. And as you can see, it's quite easy to get there. So I have recorded a really quick 5-minute meditation, a heart coherence meditation that you can download and practice. And after about 7 days, you're going to just be able to do it without the guided meditation if you'd like. So essentially, getting into heart coherence is focusing on the heart center and breathing slower and deeper, allowing the energy to go there as you bring in elevated states of emotion like kindness and love, compassion, all the good stuff, gratitude and appreciation. And as you do that, everything synchronizes. And you might even notice like a little bit of a like clarity or clearing. So what this does is it clears out the noise. So you can imagine if all these brain waves are incoherent and all different sort of rates and rhythms, what we've done is we've aligned them all into the single heartbeat. And when we're aligned in the single heartbeat, we can hear that intuitive wisdom within, and we can connect. We connect to this oneness field that knows everything all the time. So enjoy yourself, you little genius today. And until next time, thank you so much for taking a part of your day to be with me. I love you, and go out and have an absolutely tremendous day, you freaking genius.